So it's been reported that the Houston Rockets are signing Bruno Fernando to an exhibit 10-day contract. Now I see this as a pretty, I wouldn't say a great move from the Rockets, but more as a move, a temporary move at that for the backup center position. And the sole reason for that is that majority of the names that we were going to go for in free agency, I mean, Mo Bamba, Nick Claxton were two of the names out there. Both of them have been signed, so there's not too many backup centers in free agency. And the Houston Rockets, they already had Bruno Fernando on their team last season, but bringing him back, I mean, he was pretty okay for them. In the minutes he did play for them, he actually did give them some pretty good stats. So we're going to go over why this is a pretty great move from the Rockets and what he's going to provide to them moving forward. So what's up? My name is Rockets Empire. If you like what you see, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. And let's get into it. So Bruno Fernando, he's going to be signed to a 10-day exhibit contract. So first of all, I mean, if he plays great in that 10-day contract, you can, convert that into a guaranteed deal or even a multi-year deal. He's only 23 years old too, so he was traded at the trade deadline from the Celtics, I want to say, in the Daniel Tice trade. So I think Bruno Fernando, he can turn into something pretty interesting for us. Obviously, we don't have a great backup center, but now with Bruno Fernando here, I think we should be pretty set. He is 6'9", 240 pounds, so he's pretty set to play the center position, kind of small ball right there. Averaged around 3 points, 2 rebounds, nothing too crazy right there. I mean, if you look at his minutes, only played 5 minutes per game in just 30 games played with the Rockets. So I don't know. Looking at his previous stats before the season ended, the last game against the Kings, he dropped 12 points and 7 rebounds in 18 minutes. Also threw in 3 blocks and 1 steal. The game before that against the Kings again, played 22 minutes and had 17 points and 10 rebounds, along with 2 assists and 1 block. So you can tell if he gets a lot of minutes, I mean, he's going to be producing. Now, looking at the games before that, he was only averaging around like 3 to 5 minutes. And that's pretty horrible. So I think going into next season, I think Bruno Fernando, he's going to have a bigger role. Because, with Usman Garuba, he's been very injury prone, obviously having that ankle injury and not playing in the summer league. Before that, he had the wrist injury, I want to say. So it's going to be interesting to see what Bruno Fernando provides to us, going into next season. Because I think we're going to be slated to have another pretty bad season, having a lot of basically young talent. I mean, we still have a young KPJ and a young Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, bringing in all 3 of our draft picks, Ty and Jae'sean. We're going to still be pretty bad in Şengün, finally starting at the center position. We're still a very inexperienced team, so they're going to be giving a lot of minutes to guys that pretty much deserve it. If Bruno Fernando shows on next season, kind of just showing them why they signed him to a 10-day contract, and I think he's going to be pretty fine, going to have a role here. Looking at shooting splits, around 66% from the field and around 50% from 3. I mean, he's pretty underrated. But other than that, I mean, Bruno Fernando, he hasn't been getting too many minutes in the last, few seasons. I think he's been playing with the Celtics and the Hawks, and he's only been in the league for 4 seasons. So looking at his stats with Houston, in just 10 games played with him, averaged around 7 points per game and around 4 rebounds. Also threw in almost basically a block a game, which is pretty great to see, on around 71% from the field, which is pretty great. So I think Bruno Fernando, he can definitely carve out a role for himself here, because the Rockets aren't going to be looking to contend anytime soon, apparently. So off the bench, he can, kind of carve out a backup center role. And I would be pretty much fine with that as long as, he's pretty much cheap. And as of right now, he is pretty much cheap, because if you went for a guy like a Mo Bamba or a Nick Claxton, they would probably demand well over 15 million. Either of them would well over demand 50 million for coming off the bench, which I definitely would not enjoy. So bring in a guy trying to prove himself, trying to get a role on any team, and I think we're going to be pretty set. So let me guys know what you guys think about Bruno Fernando. I think he's going to be here for the long run. Hopefully he's going to be here for the long run. He's going to give us some good shot blocking and some good 3-point shooting. And overall, I mean, he's going to be a big body for us off the bench, because we don't really have that right now, along with Usman Garuba. I mean, those are the only 2 players I really see having an impact off the bench. Maybe even Jae'sean if he's coming off the bench, but I still think Ty Washington's going to go to the G League. So let me know what you guys think about Bruno Fernando. Do you guys like him? Do you guys dislike him? And peace.